Well, maybe this is where Owen would be a help to us.
Right, so,
Don't count on me too much.
so how do we see us on live, Owen? That's the question.
Do you want to check on my phone
Yeah,
just to see?
yeah.
Sure.
I got a notification that it went
Are we
live.
good? We're good?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I think
okay,
we're good.
Thanks, thank you.
Anything you want to do? Okay. That's all right. Good evening and welcome to the Borough Council special meeting, April the 24th, 2024 at 7 p.m. In attendance, we have Ms. Simmerl is absent. Ms. Kehoe is present. Mr. Beston is.
I'm here.
Mr. Mitchell is present. Mayor Kelly is present. Mr. McVitie is present tonight.
Mr. Owen.
He's our new junior council member. Thank you. And Mr. Guzza is present. Mr. Shields is absent. And Solicitor Krolik is present. We don't have anyone in our audience for any public comment. For discussion tonight, we have the Ransom Township Police Service update.
Jerry, actually Highland Associates is on the screen with us to do a presentation and public comment.
Okay, thank you. I believe that would be Bill Rissy.
Yeah, he's going to hand it off. He's going to introduce it and then hand it off.
Okay.
Josh, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. I can tee it up for Bill and then we'll go from there. So I think as everybody knows, so the AAJRB has been considering how we can provide more space or grappling with the fact that we need more space at the community center in particular to serve the senior programs, which run there every day during the week and are really bursting at the seams and begging for more space. And so what Bill really taking the lead on at the JRB is considering how we might go about that. And for our purposes, we obviously receive community development block grant funding that we have the opportunity perhaps to be able to contribute to some sort of a project at the community center that would support those senior programs. So with that context, Bill can further introduce kind of the work that's been done and what Highland is going to present.
Thanks, and nice to meet some new and some old members of the administration of Clark Summit. Sorry about Virginia, sorry about tripping you on that walk. In order to set the stage, I think that as you know, the rec board sort of began to supervise the operation of what was built as a senior center and is now its combination senior center and community center right before COVID started. And so it was very hard for us to even begin to gauge what the actual operational needs would be. But it's interesting that as we came out of COVID and as the county's area agency on aging transitioned to having United Neighborhood Centers operate the program, there has really been an explosion of demand for space, for storage space, for meeting space, for additional refrigeration for uses of the kitchen. And so there is an opportunity, at least we felt, to take a look at what was built as, give or take 30 years ago, a first-class center, which now needs some updating. And so we conducted some sessions with our board, with our volunteers, with people who patronize the senior programs, with United Neighborhood Centers staff and their leadership. And we were able to recruit Aileen Breyer and Dave Degnan. They will get time off in purgatory for the services that they have put forth dealing with this. They're both with Highland Associates. As you know, Highland is obviously a Clark Summit business. Dave, I'm not sure. Do you live in Clark Summit or? Not sure where Dave.
I am in Floral Park.
Floral Park. Aileen grew up in Clark's Green, but I believe you're now living in Clark Summit. So this is your council. And so these folks have taken all of the input, which of course it's a wish list, but it's given us, so what we have is a concept to shoot for. And so we're trying to make sure that we brief the municipalities that want to be briefed, but we wanted to start with Clark Summit. And we look forward to letting you take a look at the concept that Highland put together that addresses, the issues that were brought forth. And with that, I will turn it over to the two folks from Highland.
Thanks, Bill. That was very kind of you. I hope we get time off in purgatory. I don't know if we will or not, but worth asking for. Before I turn over to Aileen, this is we looked at this as really a master plan idea of what's possible. And, everything we're showing tonight may not be done in a single phase. And it was kind of set up that way that we can kind of go ahead and build as we have the funds to allow. There's some, I think, unique ideas that are in here. There's some really expansive ideas for changing the way that the seniors will use the center. And even after the seniors leave, the after hours availability and opportunities, I think, are really nice and unique. And I think one of the things we were really charged with was, how does this senior center connect with the park across the street? They really do operate as one entity, or at least they'd like to operate as one entity. And that connection is kind of lost. So with that, I'll turn it over to Aileen. I think she has a presentation for you. And by all means, if you have any questions going through the presentation, just stop us and ask away.
The one thing is, I think it needs to be disabled by the host, the presentation.
Or yeah, we've got to enable screen share. I'm not sure who's got the controls. Virginia, if you do, or if Jen does.
I think. Okay, you should be good.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, as Dave was saying, this is really just to show you guys where we are in the process and the proposed programs. This was we first went to Hillside in September, back in September. So just things we have gathered along from our site visit, and really for comments and discussions, and to hear from you guys of what you like and what you don't like. So here we go. So just showing you just kind of our involvement in the community. It's been really fun working with everyone and really getting to know Bill. I know Danny, Bill's son. So it's just been nice to be in the community, and we've always really enjoyed it with Highland. So some of the things with our walkthrough that we noticed. So it was, as Bill was saying, built back about 30 years ago, 1993, with the main addition, the main part of the building being that main central kind of area, the activity room that I think you guys are doing most of your classes in now. And an addition was put on in 1998 with the two activity rooms that are kind of the game room and then this other room that's been kind of different purposes. I think there's kind of exercise classes in there as well. And over time, you guys have grown. So about 400 people plus or minus a week coming through to get lunches, to go to Boy Scout meetings, to also host kind of holiday parties or family reunions. And the clientele generally is about 65 plus. And so the classes now are about 20 to 30 people, which are kind of just bursting at the seams, I think, as Josh was saying. So some of the problems that really have been coming up are this lack of space, but also the visibility from Winona Road. So the connection between the park and the center are kind of hard, not only physically, but mentally to connect the two of them. And then within the building itself, the pass through from the main space, the main activity area into other rooms, you have to go through one room to get to the other. Kind of disturbing classes that may be happening. The parking is sort of tight. So this was an idea. I know when we were there, like in September, there was paving going to start soon. Issues with drainage that was addressed in the 1998 edition as well. Limited kitchen space. So Bill, you were saying just cooling and heating things for the most part in there. And the lighting, as someone said, is kind of clinical. So the fluorescent lighting is not always very comforting and welcoming. And the big things we took away from our meetings was this idea of a bridge between the park and the center was something that could really connect the two places really physically and mentally for people. Larger activity spaces for exercise classes, but also being able to host things like parties and reunions. Larger kitchen area for things that could possibly be like a cooking class for the seniors. More parking, catering entrance that's separate from the main entrance, childcare that could be down the road as the center looks to expand beyond just senior services. Outdoor activities around the center. You guys have pretty amazing views and level grounds for drainage and really more views of the park in general. So the existing site context, so just numbering some of these, number one is really where you would land at the Memorial Park here, kind of this perfect ending or starting point for a bridge. 2 and 6 really show you the smattering of trees that are already there and sort of setting up for this natural landing already. And you could see the center from this point anyway. 3 and 4 is showing the views. It's just, you kind of don't have a bad view from the center. And 5 and 6, again, to show this visibility it's sort of hard to see the center as you're driving on Winona Road. And the road is already so busy. So things like a bridge could really be reinforcing that idea of a connection. So for a site analysis, you have this perfect location of directly south. And so you could have summer breezes coming from the southwest and you have winter winds coming from the northwest. So I know the idea of like renewable energy and sustainable energy was kind of floated around in the beginning, but things like daylighting, natural ventilation could be possibilities down the road. You also have this connection opportunity because of the high traffic on Winona Road. And your views just are from good to great, as we noted here. The things, kind of the challenges that we see are things that you guys already know. Back in the project from the 1998 edition, there was kind of looking at the drainage on the surrounding site and the increase of topography and the elevation. So there's a pretty big increase of about 13 feet to the start of the building, and then it kind of increases again around the parking area. So this is showing you how the existing floor plan stands today. So to just locate people. This is how everyone is entering now. So this is pretty much the main entrance here with the main activity room and the two other, the game room and the activity room with the bathrooms along the side here.
Elaine, you want to just show quick how you have to go through one room to get to the others? For those who
Yeah.
haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, so if say you're entering from the main entrance here where everyone's coming through, walk through here, and you're gonna have to, this is the main area, so you're gonna have to go, everyone right now is cutting through this main area of the activity room to cut through to go to this activity room or to cut through to go to the game room. So there's really no clear circulation of once you're in there, you're kind of having to cut through and interrupt other classes at the moment. And so for the demolition plan is really showing you how minimal what we're proposing to do is we're looking to just right now in the existing center to get rid of the kitchen and these two bathrooms here, which sets up for an additional building that is kind of playing off the existing building now. And like Dave was mentioning, with the circulation rate having to come through before, now we're clearing up the circulation so you could cut through and not having to interrupt others. Go right through. This yellow is indicating this hallway area. And so now with this scheme, this first option, the kitchen is going to be in the back. So the back where it's pretty centrally located for people. If you want catering to come in, you could drop off your food and not have to go through the main entrance area. It's also enlarged so you could have classes. People could you could possibly have a leisurely space for people to kind of catch up, have coffee. The activity room is to the west here now with beautiful views, as well as room 1 and 2. And they could be rooms for reunions, for the Boy Scout meetings, and a patio. So you could have more outdoor activities at the center, around the center, not just in the park across the street. The scheme has segregated access to the bathroom. So say at night, the park is, the building has to close down, but the park and people are still going into the park. You can now close the building down and lock these doors, but allow the public to still come in and use this public bathroom here. This also has a bridge that comes and lands right in the center. So people can kind of come right to the center here and have equidistance to the left, to the right, and be centrally located within the building. The second scheme is the one we really like. It's starting to set up the central hub here. So the activity room shifts in this second option to have access to the indoor and to the outdoor space. So people can come across the bridge, they could use the activity room, go inside, outside, go right in, go equidistant to the left or the right, and still keeping the same options from the first one that we really like, the separated bathroom, kitchen in the central location. The mechanical and storage room will be in the back, so people wouldn't be able to see that from the road. And still you have great views for room 1 and 2.
And I think the activities room being on that corner can really start to take advantage of some of the outdoor space too. Yes, classes, painting classes outside. We do that at the K-12 level with the high schools and elementary schools, and kids really like going outside and not being stuck inside all the time.
Yeah, and it's beginning to really play off the existing building as it is now. So the same shape, and it looks like just something that has a piece that's been missing rather than just like a brand new building. So this is just an overall view, and this one also shows this idea of more parking space over just tacked onto the existing parking space that is there now. We really like the schemes because you could still stay in the building as it is now, still have the same drop-offs, activities that people are used to having at the same times, but it could be phased, like Dave was saying. So you could do certain things at different times and still have access to the building as it was. And so it won't be too much of a change of schedule for people. It really clears up the circulation, the problem of cutting through the rooms. You have a centrally located kitchen, a larger kitchen with possibility of private catering entrances. and just a more unified feel to the center. So the addition would really mimic what's there now, and a greater sense of connection between the park and the building now. That doesn't feel as unified as some people would like. And really the cons were mostly the things that we've come up with and that you guys know of, the grading and the drainage issues. So we had kind of a rough estimate or a rough order of magnitude for a cost between 2.8 million and 3.4, and this is without site work. So this is just to give you kind of a ballpark of where we had been seeing the cost landing. So if you guys have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you.
Since this is the entire Abington area, with other boroughs and townships involved, would they be putting in going for the same grants as we are? And also, would they be putting in an equal share to this?
So I can jump in, Jerry, to comment that I think that becomes the big question, is how do we pay for a plan like this and any of the elements? I think Clark Summit Borough is uniquely positioned among the 5 member municipalities because we're the only one of the 5 that does receive CDBG funds. And those CDBG funds, as we all know, we have difficulty finding things to spend them on. When this center belonged to the borough, we spent the vast majority of those funds on the center to support senior programming, which is one of the eligible spends for those funds. So I think it's important to, if we proceed with this, it's important to establish the extent to which those funds end up supporting senior programming and or handicapped individuals specifically. Although the community center is now used by other groups, I think it would still far exceed 90% of the total utilization of the center is still senior programming, and that is the main driver, I think, of these expansion ideas, is better supporting the senior programming that's going on, and really responding to the needs that the AAJRB is hearing from the Area Agency on Aging, which runs those programs. So I think that's important to point out, that when it comes to thinking about how this gets funded, we among the 5 municipalities are the only one that can think about how we can leverage funding that we receive to support this. Beyond that, and Bill can speak to this better than I can, I think the vast majority of this would come from grant funding. I would be highly doubtful that the board will be going to the municipalities asking them to devote capital funds that don't come from supporting grants to build these kinds of expansions. Bill, do you want to add any more specifics to that?
Yeah, Josh, for all of the improvements that have happened at Hillside Park over the last 15 or so years, we've never gone to any of the municipalities to look for a capital contribution. We've been able to develop grants either from government or foundation or private companies. And I know this is setting the bar high, much higher. But I think that there is an opportunity to see if we could get Lackawanna County government to partner with us in some fashion on this, since we now have 2 county commissioners from the Abingtons that I think would have to pay attention. If all the municipalities will at least join us in requesting help. There are additional grants that I think we'll be eligible for, and of course, you can't get a grant if you don't have a plan. Much like when we started, again, I think it's probably 15 or so years ago, we developed a master plan for the park, and that let us be a qualified applicant. A master plan for the building, I think, qualifies us. One of the things that we talked about is the ability to try to tackle the project in phases, because quite often grants are allocated, according to a schedule that we don't control. So we're at the beginning. We would like to generate some enthusiasm for the concept. As I mentioned, and when Clark Summit built the facility, it really was a first-class facility. And it has served the community pretty well for 30 years. Where I think we're at is we're at a point where we either figure out how to reinvest in the facility so that we can maintain something that's first class. And believe me, it doesn't just serve the 5 municipalities that participate in the Joint Rec Board. The senior programs draw from Scranton. I know they draw from Tunkhannock. I know they draw from Falls. And this is just meeting the people that are going in and out of the building and saying, hey, where are you from? In the same way that the park does. The park is drawing people from, particularly from Scranton. We get a lot of soccer players that we'll see on weekends. A lot of fishermen are from all over, the county, the county and beyond. So we have a regional facility. It's a reflection of a standard that helps to define the Abington area. There are two significant parks in the Abingtons. South Abington Township, takes care of the other one that's down by South Ave Elementary. The 5 municipalities can take an awful lot of pride in what they've helped to bring to life here in Hillside Park. And obviously, Waverly certainly does a great job with the Waverly Community Center. So these are facilities that help to define the area as a place where people want to live. Certainly not the only thing, but it's important to the people that are using the park. And as we've been able to develop the park, it has drawn considerably a much wider audience than just kids involved in youth sports and their parents. And so I probably rambled on a little bit too long. I apologize for that, but those are the things that rattle through my head.
Thank you, Bill. It was very enlightening because it's bringing us up to speed. These are things we're going to have to sit down and really get into the trenches with and find out where we can. I know we have the CDBG money coming, and to see if they would let us extend it and roll it over, say for 5 years or whatever. When originally we built the building, I think that was one of the factors that it was rolled over as we could. And every year the money went up to the senior center that we got. So we did, many years went into that. So I think it's a possibility we could do that again too, so, but we just have to really, as Josh would say, let's see the numbers and see what direction we have to go with that too.
Yeah, I would further add that I think, the purpose for tonight was to share these concepts with our council, get some feedback from council on if, conceptually we would support some of these kinds of initiatives with CDBG funding, if they are eligible. That's obviously a key component. And with that information in hand, what ultimately the rec board would have to come back to council with are specific components of this overall master plan that we believe would be eligible, that we would want to ask for specific funding support for. And then we could consider those. But I think this is a little higher level than that for now to, in general, say, yes, we would or would not be willing to consider using a large portion of our CDBG funding to support these kinds of projects that will in turn support seniors. From my perspective, I've been on council long enough to know that we don't have a laundry list of eligible projects, and we have funding that, quite frankly, we risk losing. We risk the expiration of that funding because we don't have eligible projects. So this, to me, is very much something that is worthy of our consideration, that can make really good use of those funds we have available that otherwise go to waste, quite frankly, and don't bring any value back to our community if we can't figure out how to spend them.
Exactly, you're right, yeah. Well, I think Virginia would be very helpful in this with us as far as finding out exactly the numbers we're looking at and the whole procedure there, how long. We certainly would have to find out if this is something that the county would approve for us too, so, I mean, that'd be our out of the gate thing first, to make sure this is something that we could get the financial backing to do. So, I mean, it's an excellent project and I'd love to see it go forward. So, we'll certainly get on top of it and see what direction and recommendation they're going to give to us too. And are you going to present this to the other groups that belong to the rec board?
Yeah, I think we're going to make it available and see if they would let us come in, and look, I mean, I would think that we would have interest. I will tell you that the relationship with each of the 5-member municipalities is probably as good as it's been in a long time. And I think that the communication has been good. People change, personalities change, and that's our board as well as each of the councils. And so I think we have an opportunity to have a positive discussion and look for good ideas and feedback. We're very fortunate to have had the so far volunteer efforts of the folks from Highland that you've met. And again, they live here. They're part of our community. And, I think that there's an opportunity here that we can and should explore. I think there's probably also sources of funding that if we have a good plan and we have community and political support, I think there's a chance that, that we might get some grants to make this happen. This stuff happens around the state. It should happen here. Again, if we can all work together, I think we could make something very good happen.
Exactly.
And look, let me, there's only one more point I want to make, and that is I just want to make sure that the new people on council understand that each municipality passed an ordinance to create the Abington Area Joint Rec Board. Our board members are appointed by the municipalities, but our operational authority sunsets in 2027. So there's an opportunity that we're going to have to leverage to reauthorize the rec board and to look at any additional partners that we might be able to convince to become a part. or to change the way things are administered. So I would just like to make sure that that people are aware that lift is in front of us as well. And if you look at the deed from the state that conveyed the land that is now the park, I believe if that mandated the Abington Area Joint Rec Board, I think if we don't have a rec board, the state can repossess the land. Now, I don't think they would want to do that, but so there's a lot of reasons why we should get together and say, hey, we should take a look at what's going to happen over the next few years here. So if Virginia would just hurry up and heal, we can come in and make all of this her headache.
I'll try.
I just wanted to thank Bill and Aileen and Dave for their time and the presentation. I think there were some very good points made. And like Josh had mentioned about the community development block grant money, that's definitely an option. We don't want to lose that free money, as they would call it. And it's not coming out of the general fund. So it looks like a win-win situation to me all the way around. And again, it is what attracts people to the area when they're looking for employment or retirement or whatever the case may be. So the more enhancements we can make over there, I believe the better.
Anybody who has additional questions, thoughts, or suggestions, Jerry knows how to get in touch with me. Virginia does. Josh does. I mean, I'd be happy to try to get any information that I have back to any member of the council at any time. And if you'd like, we can ask Highland to send to, well, I think I have the presentation. I can send it to Virginia, just if people want to have it, take a look at it. Again, as long as everybody understands, this is a concept, this is a starting point. It's taken a lot of work to get there.
If you're interested, I could even put it on our website.
That probably would be a very good idea, because I think that people in the community would definitely be interested in this, and they may come up with some very good ideas too. And as far as the rec board, all going together on this, I think we would be able to get other grants that have been gone to Music, and we saw that our congressman brought a lot of funding back to the area, to his district, and this might be something he would want to get involved in too. So there's a lot of options out there that are workable, I think, with this. So we just have to get all pulled together and start moving on it then.
Yeah, Bill, there's a couple things I want to change in the presentation before we post it.
Okay.
So,
Yep, I'll let you guys revise it, and if you give it to me, I can send it to Virginia.
Okay.
Or you're more than welcome to send it directly to her.
Yeah, we know Virginia.
We do.
Well, again, I appreciate everybody's time. I know that we're dive bombing on your evening, and but I think it was important, and we really wanted to make sure that Clark Summit kind of got first dibs in terms of seeing what we were at least thinking about.
Sure. Well, as they say, it's the starting point, and now that we have something actually planted on it, that now we can move and start making it come to a reality, and that we definitely will be doing.
Well, thank you, everybody. If it's okay, we'll sign off, and you can wrestle with the big problems.
Nice seeing you guys.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Work on that, and thank you also, Aileen.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
So hard to see. Little. Right, can't see anything with the glare. And then,
What are you trying to
we-
do, John?
are we back on as the
Yep.
host?
Yep, we're good.
We're all
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Beautiful. Beautiful, okay. Just get that over there. Okay,
Perfect, okay. Thank you, Jen. Okay, the next item on our agenda is our ordinance 2024-02, the Joint Appeal Board.
Right, we've discussed this and now we just have to get this ordinance passed. It's been advertised for a public hearing next week, which, you know, would be at the beginning of the meeting. And then we're scheduled to vote on it. So if anybody has any questions or concerns in advance of that, let me know.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Virginia. The next item on our agenda is our June Burns resignation and Gary Rosman's appointment. So that, Josh, is all in place. We have the in writing from June Burns. And Gary is ready to jump right in, I guess, right?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Virginia or Jen, but I believe the way we made the motion was that we were appointing Gary as an alternate. And if at such time that we did receive June's resignation, that we would
Yeah.
automatically move into that seat. So I don't believe we need to take any further action.
Terrific, great.
Okay, thank you. Totally resolved.
Just note that that seat will need to be reappointed in January.
anyway.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. The next is the railroad sale of land.
I forwarded an email to everybody. The railroad
Yeah.
is actually looking to sell. It used to be, was it Airline Petroleum had an office there, and now it's been parking for overflow parking for Depot Street. That area is for sale. They've sent it to everybody locally pretty much. And I don't know. I know that that's a hot spot. I don't know whether we want to consider it or if we want to try to recruit people to consider it. I wanted to make sure you were aware of that option and you had a chance to move on it if you wanted.
At this point, personally, I think if there's someone that would be interested in purchasing it, that possibly would bring more revenue into the borough. Other than if we purchase it and then it becomes a liability of ours and the upkeep and so on. So I think that if the railroad wants to sell it and someone is interested in taking it over, that's a good direction to go. I don't know if our solicitor would have any more information on that, but
No, I would, excuse me, I would agree with you, Jerry. I think that, you know, if someone were to take that over, I'm not sure what, what the borough would utilize that for, but it certainly seems as, you know, up to council, obviously, but possibly something where if a developer comes in, it may be more beneficial to the borough, so.
I agree there. I think that it being held by someone private would make more sense. Get some money on the tax rolls for us. We're always looking for additional revenue, so that would be the most official thing, I believe.
If anybody has connections with Brett Millett, he's the one who bought the foundry, which abuts this property. He's
right.
going to be tearing down the foundry. This might be of interest to him, and that might be a really good opportunity. So if you know him, talk to him.
I would be more than happy to talk to Brett and let him know. Did the railroad come up with any numbers on this at all?
Jerry, I didn't hear that.
Did the railroad come up with any numbers on?
No.
what the sale price would be of it or anything like that?
No.
Is there any way we could come up with that number so that when I do talk to Brett, I would let him know, or he get in touch
I
with?
I kind of, in reading the letter, I kind of more got the feeling that if it was going to be a municipal offer, they would look at offers before they set a high price. Now, obviously, if they go to commercial, they're going to, the pricing would be higher, but Brett could certainly approach them and talk to them. We share the contact information.
Well, that's another interesting thing. If the railroad was gonna sell it to us for a very, very low price on it, and Brett was interested in it, we could then sell it to him. Would that be an option, do you think?
I can certainly reach out to them and talk to them and get more specifics. If we want to look into that, I'd be happy to.
And then we have something a little more concrete to go on and.
Great.
Direction to go.
Okay, I'll let you know what I find out.
Information, you can just let us know then. Thank you, Virginia. Next is our pave cut ordinance decision, right?
Yes, Jen and I met with Lou DeMarco, and we came up with some certain decisions that now that we've adopted the ordinance, there's a few final pieces that we're going to need to get council to decide on before we can actually start moving on this. First thing is the ordinance allows for 10% markup over the invoicing so that the boroughs to reimburse the borough for their time and effort. We didn't specify whether we're going to take advantage of that or not, so we need to decide. The next thing that we need to decide is currently we charge $300 for a pave cut, and that's it. Now, this new procedure, we're going to be charging them whatever the cost of, whatever Lou DeMarco's firm's cost is. But in the meantime, we still should have a flat rate initial permit application fee, but 300 seems excessive at that point. So, I don't know whether we want to drop it down to like $50 or something like that. Think about that for next week, because, they're going to be hit with enough money otherwise. So we'd really have to decide how we want to handle the fees in either way. Also, I sent you two different applications. Our current application, and Lou sent us, we also had a new suggested application. I don't think there's any question. If everyone's okay with it, we'll start with using the new one. Then the next thing is Lou said that as a customer of theirs, they would offer us a discounted price to do compaction testing on our paving projects. So, for example, next month we'll be bidding out our paving. Hypothetical, Pensy Supply gets the job. They could come in and take compaction samples and verify that they're meeting the standards. We don't have that right now, and that might be a very cost-effective way to ensure that our roads are met properly. And I was just going to say, and the last thing is, when we have something like the water company will pick a couple of roads every year where they just take a whole section of the road and make a major capital improvement on that road. When we have those scenarios, as opposed to just the patches, like the 4x4 or 6x6 patches, their suggestion was that we require that they submit plans to our engineer for our engineer's approval to make sure that they're bringing that road back to the standard that we want. So these are things that next week we'll have to make a decision on.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions on any of them?
No, I think you really covered it very well. It certainly gives us a lot of good opportunities that we haven't had. So,
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for our solicitor or other council members or Owen?
Did you want to touch on that email about the about ransom
Right, the email that, it's in here somewhere.
Here, I'll give mine.
I
Do you have it? Okay.
didn't know if you wanted to touch on it or not.
Yeah, we did get, our chief got a letter back from the solicitor from Ransom. And everybody has a copy of the letter. And the follow-up on the Friday email from Ransom was they decided not to make a contract with Police Protection Services with Clark Summit at this time and will rely on state police protection for the balance of the current year. The supervisors do, however, intend to revisit the issue of police protection in the fall of '24 and hope that Clark Summit Borough would be interested in discussing a contract at that time. I know our chief did speak with Bob Wells in Ransom, and he definitely would like to sit down with us. And I feel that the chief is the one that really knows the numbers on this and how the police are gonna fare out on it and so on. So I think it would be an advantage to sit down with them in the fall, and then hopefully, I would think that they really do want to come with Clark Summit. So it's just teetering, that's the unfortunate thing. But they were, the key factor is they wanted at $10,000 a month versus $15,000 a month. And they really have no intentions of breaking the contract to begin with, but it still would give us $120,000 a year for the 2 years. So
I was fine with the 10,000 per month
yeah,
personally.
yeah, I think that they feel that that's fair too, you know, that, and they're the one that suggested the 10,000 too, so.
Well, I will add, I think that was clearly the sticking point that we addressed last month, and we were at a bit of an impasse on that. And so when we come back to speak with them in the fall, you know, we're going to have to overcome that impasse. But I think another thing that I suspect, they didn't say this explicitly, but I know they had asked several times for more concrete numbers for what subsequent years would cost them. And our pending collective bargaining agreement means needing to be renegotiated because it's expiring, means that we couldn't give them that. And so I think by fall, when we come back together and talk, that will hopefully be settled, and we would be able to give them more concrete numbers, which would probably also give them some peace of mind about what it is they might be entering into. So I suspect that's also a factor, but certainly, you know, this potential damage amount was really the impasse that when we come back to this, you know, we're going to have to tighten up the way we conduct this negotiation. We can't have different people all speaking independently to different folks in Ransom and talking about different scenarios. I think that contributed to the impasse in this case. And so when the time comes, I think we need to be very clear who is leading the negotiations from Clark Summit Borough, and respect that whoever that is will bring recommendations for and topics for discussion back to council, but really leave it at that in terms of how that communication is done.
Okay, well, at this point, we're going to be doing our negotiations with our DPW, our police department, and certainly that's going to be resolved and settled, and we would be able to then, like you said, Josh, have something definitely concrete. And whoever would want to serve, if they want to come to council, they want to bring their solicitor, if they want us to go out there, whatever is going to work for both sides of the table, that's what we would be willing to do. Okay, well. At this point. I don't think we have any other business to handle, so.
So we're good to adjourn.
We wanna go over the May 1st agenda, I believe that was on here.
Oh, yeah, till very end. Thanks, Owen.
Yep.
Owen's
I
on the
am
ball.
so glad
Owen's
to
on
be-
the ball. You have it, Jerry? There you go. There you go. That's the
Oh,
agenda for
yeah,
the- for next week.
yeah, I didn't see it there. Oh. It's buried under
It's
this.
buried, yep.
Okay, has everybody gone over our agenda for next week?
Looks good to me.
Okay. I think everything, we basically covered everything, so I guess we're gonna be ready to roll next week and, have Joe here next week too, right? For the
Who's Joe?
CDBG money?
Yep.
Yeah, good, okay. That might be a great opportunity for us too. to-
Good timing.
Yeah. Okay, well, other than that, we're adjourned and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks all.
Bye. Take care,
Good
guys.
night, everyone.
With us, appreciate it, thank you.